Hi, I'm Willie. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. And what we're going to take a look at in this video is possibly the best IP hotel phone available on the market. Yep, I said it. And I don't think we should pigeonhole this thing to just hotels, but it's this particular model here. This is the Grandstream GHP611W. So this is a two-line SIP phone by Grandstream. This particular model or series comes in 4 different units. So the GHP610 comes in the color white, and the GHP611 comes in the color black. Then in that you have just the GHP610 and just the GHP611, which do not have Wi-Fi. Then you have the GHP610W and the 611W. This is the 611W that contain built-in Wi-Fi. So you can power the phone and you can do it over Wi-Fi. We typically don't take that route first, but let's see what comes in the box. Now, we pushed and pushed and pushed for these phones, and the other phone that we're pushing and pushing and pushing for is a phone with large buttons. So we'll see how that comes out. So right away, you get the quick start guide, and on the back of the quick start guide is taped a little label plate. And so if you're going to use the 3 programmable buttons that we're going to talk about, they've got front desk, room service, and emergency. So they didn't want to completely pigeonhole this phone to hotels, so to speak. So they did not make that permanent. This plate is printable, it's customizable, and you can put whatever you want on there. All right, the next thing that we get is the phone. So you can see how sleek this is. So if you're used to some of the other brands that are out there, this has got a similar profile. And on the back, of course, it's going to have our serial, our MAC, our default password, and then it is going to have the mounting holes. Right, so we got a mounting hole here and a mounting hole here. And then the base has a strip where you can have speed dials, and this can tell you what the speed dials are. So that's pretty nice. Other than that, the base is just the base. So, and you can't switch around in here the little tab for hanging up the handset. You can't switch that around, but I'm not upset about that. This is where all the magic happens, here in the handset. So back here on the back, you've got your indicator light, and then we've got our MAC address here, and the MAC address is covering the slot where those 3 programmable buttons, which would be right here, where those go. Other than that, you've got a lot of your same functionality. You've got your regular numeric pad here, and then down here you've got volume controls, you've got voicemail, you've got hold, all those kinds of good things. So what else do we have in the box? We have our power brick, which we're not going to use, and then we have our handset cord. So before we plug this in and take a look at the interface, just a little bit more about this series of phones. It is two lines, 2 SIP accounts. You can manage it with GDMS, so you can manage and pre-provision these. So you could, if you have the MAC address, provision them, ship them directly to the site. You don't even have to touch them. So if your Grandstream reseller provides you with that list of MAC addresses, you don't even have to touch these phones. You can do 3-way conferencing with these phones. The W model does have integrated dual band Wi-Fi, so it's 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. And note, that is on the models that end with W only. It does have the built-in, you can see it here, maybe. Right here is your built-in Ethernet port. It is 100 megabits. There's no pass-through port. These are not meant for applications where you would be doing pass-through. Like I said, you do have the speed dial and swappable faceplates. These are hearing aid compatible, and as always, it comes with that built-in Grandstream security. So, real quick before I power it up, one more thing. So, other places where I can see this being used: garages, kitchens, places where you're not going to spend a lot of time on the phone, because we'll talk about the MSRP on these here shortly. Obviously, hotel rooms, elevators, depending on where you're at. Any place where you don't need an expensive phone, but you want to tie it into your VoIP system, because these don't have to just work, obviously, with the Grandstream UCM PBX. They'll work with any SIP compatible phone system. So I could see this in a health club, in like the members locker room. You pick it up and you hit front desk, or you hit emergency, or whatever we've programmed onto those buttons, or you restrict it so that as soon as we pick up, it just does the hotline calling to the front desk, or you have the emergency button. Some places are kind of funny about that, but you should always be following your applicable laws when you're dealing with emergency calling. So let's get this plugged in, let's get it fired up, and we'll take a look at the interface. We'll be right back. So I kept trying to get, they've got a nice little tune when it boots up, right? So side note that on the wireless model, so the model that ends in W, you do have to use the included power adapter. PoE will not power the entire thing. With the non-Wi-Fi, you must use a PoE switch. All right, so here we have our MWI. You can see that it is yellow. And you can see that we've got our login screen here. So the default username is going to be admin, and then I'm going to type in this password on the back, and we're going to be in. Something new that that we have here with the login screen is that we have this random code where we can log in. You can directly enter the random code on the phone to log in. You get 5 minutes to do that. So let's do that instead of entering the password. So 9*6*176#. And now it's asking me to change the admin password. So we are going to go ahead and do that here. I don't know if all the phones have that or if it's just the hotel phone, but that's pretty slick. All right, we'll go ahead and modify that. So this looks a little bit different than our firmware for our professional phones or our carrier grade phones. So let's just poke around for a second. You can see we've got account 1 and account 2. Neither one of those are registered. Up here, we failed to download firmware. We'll take a look at that here in a minute. We've got our network status. Here's our Ethernet, our Wi-Fi, and our DNS and NAT. We've got our system info over here. So this is going to show us the firmware number and all that good stuff. Product number, part number, status, recommended time zone. So they must be getting that off of IP location. We've got all of our service statuses there. So here we can come in and we can configure our accounts. So you've got all your basic settings. This, if you're used to configuring VoIP phones, whether it's Grandstream or otherwise, a lot of this should look familiar. You've got your SIP settings, your codec settings, and man, how many times are codec settings of problems with calls? We've got intercom options, transfer options, dial plan. We've got our ringtone down here. And you can change the ringtone also based on who's calling in, right? So housekeeping or the front desk can be a different ringtone than someone that knows that you're staying or wherever this phone is and is calling in. We've got all kinds of security options down here. We can do account swapping, 1 and 2. Phone settings, let's see, we've got basic settings, nothing too complicated there. Here's our call settings. So we can do direct IP calling. We can do on-hook dial barging. Incoming, we got allow incoming call before ringing. Enable call waiting tone. We've got auto unmute, enable mute key in call. So you can actually disable mute. That's interesting. Got transfer and conference. Here's our ringtone selection. Multicast paging, always a good thing to have. Here's our network settings. So we've got Ethernet settings, so you can do static, dynamic, and you could these phones will do IP version 6, and it'll do both, but prefer IPv4. That's kind of nice. Some advanced network settings. Here's your DHCP VLAN. You've got your layer 3 quality of service. We've got remote control options down here. Here's our Wi-Fi settings. So we can disable, enable it. We can make it be 2.4 or 5 gigahertz only. That's nice to be able to do it right in the UI without having to use a P code or a template. And by the way, templates for these are available on your Grandstream UCM. Here's our programmable keys. So you can see we've got our 3 keys, and it shows us a preview right here. So if we take a look at this, you've got this right here is this whole section. So you've got the 3 keys down here, and then you've got the icons up above, so we can change the multi-purpose keys there. Here's our speed dial, which is on the key strip here. And so also, just to point out, the base does pass through the Ethernet and has the power. So if you're on the non-Wi-Fi version, it will pass through the PoE. So this is pretty cool that you get this preview, and you can print the card. So they allow you to print it, and it'll print out just what you're seeing on the screen. They've got tutorial videos here. That's fantastic. Here we can put the room number. Under our system settings, we've got our time, date, our security settings. So, you might want to disable SSH on your phones. You've got user management. We've got IVR info, and then, of course, all of our certificate information. Under preferences, we've got display control. So new message LED indicator. So you can change it from blinking to solid, or you can customize it. So if you understand how to write these LED patterns, which you should be able to look at this and kind of decipher it, you can make that LED do whatever you want. We've got some audio control, so it looks like we can lock it so it can only get so loud or so soft. Here's the hearing aid controls right here under audio control. And then here's where we can change the LED brightness and what happens when it is on idle. Our TR069 information to get us connected to GDMS. All right, maintenance, upgrade, and provisioning. So we always change this to firmware. And they don't change that by default because they may have someone who doesn't want to upgrade the firmware. Might be running a custom version of the firmware or whatever. We can hit start on this, and it should go out and upgrade the firmware if there is one. Here's our config file, so we can download the configs. We can pull a configuration via the network. You can actually use DHCP options to do this, as well as provisioning. So here's that auto upgrade is turned off by default, but we always check for new firmware, and we can start the upgrade at random times. So, and using templates, you can start those, if you wanted to update everything on, Saturday when everybody checks out or whatever, you can do that. And then there's some advanced settings here for validating host names. Under our system diagnostics, we've got all of our syslog information here, so we can send SIP logs, specify our syslog level if we're trying to troubleshoot something. Here are our notification events. So we don't have any action URLs by default. So you're going to actually see us do a full hotel PBX upgrade. So we are going to get into the weeds on some of this. So under the application, here is the hotel service. We've got our E911. So we can do things like send the room number, all that good stuff. Here's our web service. So here's that auto location service that guessed we were in the central time zone. And then here's our GDS information. So I really, really like this phone. We were asking for it. There are other competitors in the market that do have it, but Grandstream listened and they brought this to market. So if you're looking to pick these up, let's pull up what the MSRP is going to cost you. All right, so a quick Google search is going to show this phone anywhere from about $29 to up high as $46. So, and that's actually the non-wireless version. That is just the Grandstream GHP610. So if we throw the W in there, you're going to see this one go. It looks like it's going to go for upwards of $65. It did take the firmware and reboot. So you kind of missed that noise. I tried to catch that noise twice and I couldn't get it. It's a nice little tune. But very inexpensive phones. Obviously, if you're working with a Grandstream distributor, you're going to get much better pricing on this phone. So if you're seeing a Google price of like $39 to $65, the pricing for buying Grandstream from a Grandstream reseller is going to be much more aggressive than that. So, and if you're looking at doing a hotel project or even like a health club or somewhere where you just need a nice, simple phone, you know, hit us up and we'll get you pointed to the folks that can provide that hardware, and then we provide the services on top of that. So if you've got any questions about this phone that I can answer, let me know down in the comments. And if you're curious to see this thing set up and working, definitely let me know, because that is coming along with a full hotel setup. We got to do a couple different hotel setups, one with POTS lines, one's at straight SIP. So it's going to get kind of interesting. You can retrofit hotels without spending a whole lot of money. So, and if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, share, follow me on Twitter and TikTok down below. If you'd like to support the channel, I do have affiliate links down below along with a Patreon link. And if you need IT consulting, you want to get a new VoIP system set up, you're looking at upgrading your hotel, your house, your business, doesn't matter. We can help you out. Cruise on over to williehowe.com, fill out that contact form on the front page, and someone will be in touch with you as soon as possible. Once again, I'm Willie. I want to thank you for being here. Let me know what you think about these new Grandstream hotel phones. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.